suggested some sort of brand extension.
Ruthless aggression. Allow me to introduce you to the new general manager of Raw, Eric Bischoff.
Who in the green hell are you?
I lie, I cheat, I steal. And at WrestleMania,
I just hear myself say 3 minutes.
well, let me tell you something, brother.
Whoa.
Hello and welcome to Dits versus Josh. I am Dits and Josh is here too because it wouldn't work if I was on my own. Josh, hello.
Hi,
Hello.
I won last week. Get fucked.
There you go. Just get that straight in there. 53% though, like it was close.
Yeah, well, that doesn't come up on the record books. The record books come up as I got my second win. My second win.
Yeah, 6-2. 6-2. So I'm still a little ways ahead. As long as I win next week, I'll feel comfortable still. But if you get the third one next week, ooh, I'm going to start getting nervous a little bit.
Well, I just want to win all the time, and I don't understand why you always win. It's not fair.
Neither do I. Neither do I. This is your show, essentially.
Well, yeah. But, yeah,
So-
people, I control this. I mean, I can take this away if I wanted to.
You do not want to take away the flagship of the Josh Robinson 00 network. You don't want to do that.
Dits
It's
is
like taking away Raw.
humble man. Humble man. We switched this week, though, and I felt like I cheated on my Raw.
Yeah, I had to have a shower after I finished Raw. I felt dirty.
I didn't feel great
Incredibly dirty.
And I watched it from a different room than I normally would because I'm like,
Ooh.
I don't want I don't want Raw to catch me watching SmackDown. So I'm like, oh man, just
I got a hotel.
oh geez, you went
Oh,
really
yeah.
I just went into a different room. I watched
Oh,
it
don't
from
wanna
my
risk it.
living room instead of my bedroom because I didn't want to.
Ooh.
Can't sleep in the same bed with it. You know what I mean? So I tried to do what I could do, but it's weird. It is weird watching SmackDown when you're so accustomed. We were talking about this just briefly before. They're structured so differently. They were two different shows in 2002.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm just based off looking at the Ruthless Aggression thingy that they've got on the network. I knew from that point that obviously the two shows were completely different and how they were going and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't think it was that different because I thought I hear you talk about Raw every week, and obviously I talk about SmackDown and I watch it. I was like, these two, they are different, but they don't sound that different. You know, the format's kind of the same. And the moment I sat down watching Raw, I was just like, immediately, like, this just feels like brand new. I don't even feel there was any comparison whatsoever.
Yeah, no,
And it was nice.
Yeah, it was nice for a change. It is structured so different. It's structured so different. And it's more so it's just, SmackDown is just so much more wrestling heavy. Plain and
Good.
simple. But I don't know about Raw this week. We may as well get into it. You go first this week, which is another weirdness thing is you're going first. So take away Raw, I guess.
Well, I get to get this out of the way, and then I can just kind of sit back and listen to you ruin my show. We're in Canada this week,
Yes.
Edmonton, Alberta. Lovely little place. You've given me a very awkward Raw to have.
Oh no.
Straight as soon. I mean, it was great. I had Across the Nation playing. I had the goosebumps. I felt the pyro, just everything about it. JR welcoming everybody. I was like, this is fucking awesome. And then all of a sudden, Chris Benoit's music starts playing.
Oh, awesome. Wait,
Killed
he's from
the boner.
SmackDown.
Yeah, funny old thing there. We haven't heard from Chris Benoit since his name was read out on our watch along that we did for the draft. So essentially, we haven't heard between us in real time Chris Benoit for close to a year. So it was weird when I saw his thing come up. And yeah, awkward.
Great theme music though.
Is very. I actually put that here. He's got fucking outside of everything. Like he's got fucking great music. But yeah, trust me to have Benoit when I take over Raw.
Did you like Benoit, by the way, before all that happened?
Oh yeah, I was a huge.
I still think
fan.
Even I know it's weird to talk about him now you can't talk about him without thinking about that, and that outweighs everything. But I still think that Benoit is probably hands down the best technical wrestler I've ever seen. I think.
I'd say he's definitely top 3. He's up there.
He doesn't. If you watch his matches, he doesn't make mistakes. But then, of course, life.
That would have been inappropriate.
He makes a lot of life mistakes, obviously. I know it's hard to talk about him. It's so weird. Some people will not talk about him at all. I'll talk about him in the fact of, like, in the gist of, like, reviews. But,
yeah.
And, like, wrestling-wise, I mean, he's still a part of wrestling history, I guess. But it's hard. Even when I'm talking about it, I feel weird.
Yeah, like I as soon as his music played, I was like, I've missed this music so much because I haven't heard that entrance theme for probably a good year or two. And then I was like, I actually really liked Benoit around this time, and then up until 2004, 2005, whenever it was.
6, 7, I don't know.
And I was like, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh shit, I should not be feeling this way. The guy is an absolute...
you feel weird. It feels like you feel icky about it. Like when I watched his Dark Side of the Ring, I was like, oh boy. Have you ever watched his Dark Side of the Ring?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
You should. And the Owen Hart one too. Oh, they're both difficult to watch. But anyway, yeah, Benoit. There's more about Benoit on SmackDown, so...
Oh, okay. Well, Benoit is back because it's his hometown.
Oh, right. So, yeah, he's from... Yeah.
So he's coming back from injury. He's a couple of weeks out. But he said he wasn't going to miss an opportunity to come in front of his own fans and say hi whilst Raw was passing on through. But yes, he is a SmackDown guy. He did confirm that because I was very confused. I was like, aren't you mine? You're my guy. Why the hell are you here?
What a weird thing to like. We didn't plan. Obviously, when I told Dits about swapping last week, I told Dits on the show. I didn't tell him beforehand. And also, I didn't look into what was on the shows. That's weird that the first thing you see is a SmackDown guy. It's like a little like, oh, okay, I'm watching SmackDown. He's yours. You can have him.
Invasion. It is a full-on invasion of Raw. So yeah, he's basically talking about, he's a few weeks out from getting back into the ring. And he's like, I actually have a reason for being here. And then we hear Latino Heat. Here comes Eddie Guerrero. He comes down and says Eddie's missed him a lot. But basically he's missed how jealous that Benoit is towards him, saying that he was the best thing in the Radicals with the talent, charisma, and the Latino Heat. Oh, yes. Talks about all of his accomplishments since Benoit went away, having the IC title, beating up Austin. Last week, he's still bragging about that. And then Benoit replies and says, well, it takes a real tough guy to hit somebody from behind and run away. And Eddie wants to fight at this point, but then all of a sudden we get a woo! So I get my first dose of the Nature Boy.
You'll fucking see it a lot. I can guarantee that, and I didn't even watch the show.
So Rick comes down to the ring and he says, look, I've let you come down to Raw to have this moment with your hometown, but you've gone too far, like a typical Canadian racist. Yes. And then he's like, who wants to see Benoit versus Eddie tonight? And who wants to see Austin walk down that aisle? And everyone's like, ah! And he goes, well, it's too bad. Typical heel authority bollocks. And he's just like, you're not going to see Austin tonight because Deborah has a family emergency, so Austin isn't here. But he says he does have a welcoming committee just in case. Dum, 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 dum. So he might show up. Who knows? And basically saying that Austin is benched. And then he says there's no way he's going to let a SmackDown guy wrestle on his show either. So that's why you're not getting Eddie versus Benoit. Eddie mocks Benoit and then gets thrown to the one side. And then the security is called, and out goes Benoit.
Cool. Sounds
Not
really
a bad opening to Raw,
No,
actually.
It sounds like a good little opening segment, to be honest.
It wasn't too much Rick, which was
Yeah.
nice. Because I know how much Rick features on this. Yeah, but it wasn't that much this week. We go into a match, though, which was really confusing. I had to rewind it and see what Lillian Garcia said. She was like, this match is for like the women's title. And I was like, oh, it's for the women's
title. What a shock.
And then threw out a European title. And I was like,
oh, yes.
yes. I'm really confused as to what
Does that mean I get my favorite unit on Raw and I missed it? The European champion and all right, just go on. This is when it's hard.
So sorry. Trish Stratus and Spike Dudley teaming against Molly and William Regal.
Molly.
With the women's title and the European title up for grabs, depending on who
Molly.
pins who.
You can do it. You can do it, Molly.
So Trish and Spike get to the ring. And by the way, Spike's music, obviously, it was the old Dudley Boys music, but I fucking love that theme. It's awesome. I haven't heard that for years.
It's a great theme.
But they get straight to the ring. However, Molly and Regal have a little thing backstage before they make their entrances. And Molly was just like, this is going to be the first time I've been in the ring with Spike since we split last year. It's going to be really awkward. He says, he's just a pervert and all this stuff. And then Regal's like, don't worry about it. We'll deal with it in the ring. And out they come. I can see it. Sorry, Spike. I can see it. So the start of the match it's Regal and Spike. Spike has the upper hand from the start. But then Molly gets tagged in, which means Spike can't do anything. But Molly can, because that's just the way things are. And she slaps Spike right in the grid. So he then gets Trish involved so they can have their little fight. And you can imagine the grade A in-ring stuff that is going on between Molly Holly and Trish Stratus at that time. She wasn't at her peak at this
Trish
point.
wasn't at her peak. Molly has always been just Molly in the ring. I don't think she's ever been anything more.
No. But they have their little thing. The referee gets distracted by whatever's going on in one corner. So Regal dives into the ring and full-on knees Trish in the womb. Like it was
oh god.
I was like, whoa, fuck. I was like, so Spike held himself back against Molly, but no, Regal doesn't give a shit. In he goes, knee to the gut. It was like, I love Regal. Like he gets a pass for doing that. I love Regal.
Regal's great. Also, how many times did Jerry Lawler remind you that Molly Holly is a virgin?
Ooh, that's something I definitely would have picked up on. I don't think he said it.
Okay. Usually it's like every 2 seconds she'll do a beautiful Northern Light suplex and he'll be like, she's pure, she's a virgin. Shut up, Jerry Lawler.
It might be because I think my body has learned to tune Jerry Lawler out now in 2020. So I think that's just defaulted.
She's a virgin, Jay. That's what he does all the time. It's like, shut up.
But so obviously the tide is swung as soon as Regal gets his knees involved. So Molly is all over Trish. But the worst backslide pin I have ever seen occurs. I was watching it. I was just like, have I just hit the fucking slow-mo button here? But I hadn't. It was all real time. It was the slowest fucking backslide. And it came out of nowhere as well. It wasn't as if like, there was like some kind of transitions into it and it was all great. No, it was literally... Oh, by the way, we need to do a backslide spot. Oh, okay, let's do it.
Did Trish do it or did Molly?
It was Trish that did it.
Okay.
And she won the match with it as well, which made it even worse.
Typical Trish. Fucking up everything. If Molly did it, it would have been flawless. Fucking Trish.
So she can't do bulldogs and she can't do a backslide.
I would have been fucking pissed if I missed Molly Holly winning the women's championship. I would have cried
with a backslide.
on freaking this show. I would have cried. I can't miss Molly winning the women's championship. That's just not on.
However, you did miss something which involves Molly.
So
obviously Trish and Spike are celebrating in the ring, and in the corner behind them Regal is reaching into his pants
Oh,
and he
yes.
pulls out a pair of his brass knucks and he gives it to Molly Holly, who then runs behind Trish and clocks her in the
Yes.
back of the head. And at the same time, Regal's attacking Spike, so Spike's thrown out of the ring. This knocks out kayfabe Trish, which means that she has to go and see the trainer backstage. She's in a bad way because of those knucks.
Oh, yes.
But Molly Holly and Regal have the upper hand despite the loss.
And now
So-
Molly has started an angle with Trish Stratus. It's happening. Holy shit. I am so excited. I am going to talk about Molly Holly going for the Women's Championship the entire episode of this show. I'm not going to review anything else. It's just going to be me talking about how great she is. Oh my God, it's happening.
This next segment will trump that and you'll forget all about Molly Holly. Like, it was like, I was I think I was doing something else when this was on. It was Steven Richards backstage, hardcore champion.
He's
Terrible
the hardcore
promo.
champ. Is he? Okay.
I fucking lose track.
I lose track
of
too, and I
the
watch
hardcore
it
champion.
week.
Every time you tell me, "Oh, Bubba's the hardcore
I thought it
champion,"
was
or
Bubba.
Raven, I was like, "No, he isn't. Crash was hardcore champion last week."
I get confused too.
But it's Steven Richards who is hardcore champion at the start of this show. Terrible promo. Like I don't know. He was good as promos with RTC though, if I remember rightly, or at least decent. Because he was the leader.
Yeah, well, didn't Ivory cut a lot of their promos?
Oh, she did actually. Yeah.
Ivory was kind of they all spoke, but I feel like Ivory was the speaker. I feel like.
Ooh.
I could be wrong.
I think I need to go back and look at that. But either way, it was a fucking terrible promo. He's basically there saying
Victoria speaking. I remember him speaking when he was with Victoria. Why couldn't he cut a promo here?
Maybe this was a one-off. Maybe it's because the material was absolutely terrible. He tells us that Jazz is out injured.
Oh no!
And that she's had surgery, so you're not going to see Jazz for a while.
That's why Molly's starting a program with Trish. All right.
And he's like, "Oh, it's a shame because they've got real close." And he's like, "And she's all cute and cuddly." I was like, are you talking about Jazz or somebody else? Like, that's not Jazz." And then randomly, Jacqueline pops into shot.
Hell yeah,
and she's just like, "You think that Jazz is cute and cuddly?" And then, which the delivery of that line is absolutely terrible. So I was like, "Well, Jacqueline's terrible at promos as well, so this isn't going well."
Jacqueline can throw a clothesline, but not a promo.
She can. And Richards retorts by saying she's just jealous and just wants to hook up with him. So Jacqueline kicks him in the shin, and then takes the mic from Terry, who was interviewing Steven Richards in the first place, and twats Steven Richards over the head with it.
Amazing.
So Steven Richards is out. Jacqueline goes for the pin, but her hardcore championship reign is not to be. Sean Stasiak is there to make the save, and he pulls her off and fucking throws her away. But while he's throwing her away, Big Boss Man has fucking barreled in with his nightstick. Big Boss Man, he's hitting Steven Richards with his nightstick, going to town, and then he goes for the pin, but Sean Stasiak is still there. So Sean Stasiak is there breaking up the pin, and they vanish. They literally run off, and then they turn a corner, and then it's just you just hear a crash of. Whenever you see a backstage segment, especially now in WWE, you always have that crash of metal poles and stuff, and it just echoes throughout the fucking backstage area. You had that, but it was out of shot. You didn't see it, but you know that Big Boss Man and fucking Sean Stasiak are rolling around on metal poles. And then it cuts back to where the interview was taking place in the first place, and Terry is there still, and she's doing like this little sneaky creeper thing in the background, and she's like, "Well, nobody else is here," so she goes for the pin and is your new hardcore champion.
That's what I was thinking the entire time. Like, if Terry fucking Runnels ends up the champion, I mean, that's the kind of bit about Raw that I'm just like, that sounds exactly how you describe that is how that happened, because I watch that all the time, and that happens all the time on Raw. And have you noticed something? Backstage segment, backstage segment, backstage segment, backstage segment. There's
there's a
fucking many. I mean, SmackDown has them too, but Jesus Christ, Raw has a lot.
Was short-lived. It was short-lived because Steven Richards, despite getting kicked in the shin, twatted in the head with a microphone, assaulted with a nightstick, still had enough in him to roll up Terry and reclaim his hardcore title. And then he went running away. But something I did notice, and it was one for the teenage males, that kind of demographic. When he rolled her up, it was as if the camera purposely had her vagine on show. The angle was perfect for somebody to be pervy about it, and yeah, it was a choice made. The pervy angle, yes.
My cat purring. Oh my god, shut up.
No, I do not hear your cat purring.
It's all right. She's purring right into the microphone. I'm like, oh my god, please don't. She really likes Terry Runnels.
I can see.
It's all right, kid.
A pussy likes a pussy.
Hey.
We stay backstage, of course, with the NWO.
Oh.
I've had my first dose of
Don't
Rick.
miss them.
And now I'm getting my first dose.
And you got full-fledged NWO. You got Nash back now. He's the leader.
Nash is back. He's leading the charge in this locker room.
With his beautiful, luscious hair.
Actually had nice hair at this point. You're right.
Yeah, he did. It was like long and it was blonde and it was like, all right, I see you.
Beautiful man. He reveals that everybody in the NWO, apart from himself, because he is the leader, so why should he have a match? They all have matches tonight. He's like, Big Show, you're going to face Josh Robinson's favorite, Bradshaw.
I'm so glad I didn't have to put up with him because that's 2 weeks without him now because I didn't have him last week on Raw.
But he was like, there's not going to be any run-ins and there's not going to be any interference. He's like, you're on your own. Big Show versus Bradshaw. And then he turns to Booker and X-Pac and he's just like, exactly the same for you. You guys are going to have a match tonight. You're going to team together. No run-ins, no interference. You're going to take on the Hardy Boys.
Oh, of course. Of course they are.
But then he says, on top of all that, he said, if anybody loses their match tonight, they are out of the NWO. And as a plus, if they lose their match, Kevin Nash is going to kick their ass.
Oh, no. Big Daddy Diesel, as Michael Cole would say. Wow, that was really good. Holy shit.
I do love that rock.
I'll stick to my Jerry Lawler laugh. You can have that.
And then Booker T is just like, well, Big Show is kind of just like, are you fucking serious with that shit? I think he's still in leader mode. He still wants it, but he's kind of like, yeah, he's pretty much like, you do you, I'll do me. And then Booker T chimes up and he's like, he says, I've actually got a bit of a problem. He's like, I have an issue with the music. Like, I don't feel like it pumps me up. He says, like, my music is like, it's there. He's like, can you dig it, sucker? And he said, then I'm ready to fucking go. And then Nash is just like, look, how about I give you a remix of your music? And he's like, and then Nash fires off, like, dude, can you dig that, sucker? But he does it terribly, and it's just like,
it's so, like, listening to that is like, makes me kind of sad because the NWO was so, like, they were everything in WCW and they were the biggest thing in the industry at one point. And then you take them from when they first come in even to WWE and they were taken a little bit more seriously. And then Hogan left and now they're just having arguments over theme music.
It's all gone to shit. It
really I know
has.
WWE's NWO isn't great. Like, it's never been looked at as a great time. However, even just looking at it from when they come in earlier that year to then, to like where we are now, it's rough. Because when Hogan come in with them, it was a big deal. I remember it being a big deal. I remember it being like, holy shit, it's the NWO. And then it just fizzled because Hogan, turned face.
And Scott Hall wasn't exactly at his best.
No,
and Nash is Nash.
Nash was fine. Like, I don't hate Nash at all. I've never hated Kevin Nash, to be honest. But, like, I don't know. It's just, you look at him in WCW and they were like, they were the reason WCW was winning for so long.
Yeah.
And then you take them to now and it's like, they're not even in the main event storyline. They're just an afterthought. It's kind of sad.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of like, I was watching and I was just like, yeah, this isn't really that big of a deal to me.
It's just there. Like, when they were like
some random guys
arguing and like, they're they're a joke. They lose all the time. Like, I know they went from one extreme to another because in WCW, the NWO never really lost, but they don't win. Ever. They lose everything.
Well, if they lose tonight, then they're out of the NWO. So
I know.
The stakes are raised. So after Kevin Nash does that horrendous Booker T impression, everyone leaves. But hiding inside some kind of metal tub type thing is, of course, Golddust, which I'm happy with. You know me, I love fucking Golddust. Yeah, he peeks his head out, and that is the end of that segment. But we don't leave the NWO there because we go straight into in-ring action. It is Booker T and X-Pac versus the Hardy Boys. And Booker T comes out to his own theme music. There is no remix. So I was like, what the hell was Nash even talking about? I guess he had like 2 minutes to throw a remix together and it just didn't happen. So he's just have your own.
He couldn't get it done with his fucking garage band on his fucking big block Mac.
Oh, I can relate. I can relate.
Oh, me too. Did you notice how over the Hardys were, by the way?
I actually put this in my notes. I was just like, it was really fun to see the Hardys at this stage in their career again, because I've not watched anything Hardys related like pre 2018 when they came back at WrestleMania. Was it 2018? Yeah, I think it was 2018. Yeah, like pre WrestleMania. So I've only had like the modern iteration and the very like few months that they teamed together. So seeing them at like their peak, obviously I saw them at Judgment Day when they teamed against Paul Heyman. That doesn't really fucking count.
But like seeing them just in just a random setting where they're not like, there's nothing else, like no Brock and no nothing like that. They're over and they're fun.
Jeff is majorly over.
They love Jeff.
Majorly over, which is no surprise.
You're like, oh, Jeff has something, and it's like, what is it? And then obviously all of life happens, but you could feel it, couldn't you? You're like, Jeff is something. Yeah, I watch that every week when I watch her. I'm like, oh god, Jeff is just, and he does some crazy shit. You
get Jeff like in his, like in before a really good spot.
Yeah, like I get Jeff
in a couple of weeks.
Come up, yeah, it's crazy.
Oh god, jealous. But yeah, so the match goes on, and Booker T has the upper hand. I mean, the match was the match. Like, not a great deal happened,
it'd be anything great. It's got X-Pac.
But Booker T gets the upper hand at one point. He doesn't. I don't even know what the move is called, but I remember doing it on like Shut Your Mouth or Here Comes the Pain all the time. He kind of does like he grabs their arm, like spins them over his head, and then fucking launches his leg up and like clocks him in the face. Like, I'll have to figure out what that move is, because I saw it. I was like, oh my god, I haven't seen that in years. That's what I seem to be saying this whole episode. I haven't seen that in years, but I generally haven't. So he did that.
Doesn't watch wrestling.
I don't watch wrestling. No.
What is that?
This is the first thing I've watched in years. Yeah. So Booker T gets the upper hand with that, and as he bounces off the ropes to hit the scissors kick, X-Pac gets the blind tag. And then obviously Booker T hits the scissors kick. But then he goes after, instead of going for the pin, he goes straight after Matt Hardy. So he's dealing with Matt Hardy and he's throwing him out the ring. So whilst all that is going on, X-Pac is behind him and hitting the X Factor on Jeff and gets the free count. Bearing in mind taking Matt out of the ring took probably about 3 seconds. So Booker T is literally stood by the ropes while everything's going on behind him, just staring at Matt Hardy. It's just like, I understand what's happening here because you have to have X-Pac do his stuff, but why are you stood there? Like, you're stood there for like 5 seconds. Like, why are you not turning around and making the fucking pin? And then when he does turn around, obviously it's because the match is over and the bell's sounded. So he's just like really confused. And he's like, what the hell just happened? He's just like, you fucking let that happen, you stupid idiot. He's not happy. So he gets the microphone. But he doesn't have a go at X-Pac or anything like that. He just says, look, I'm here. I want to give the people what they want. Hit my music. And then a spinneroonie is apparently what the people want. So he spinneroonies, and out they go. So there you go.
Isn't it
it's
weird?
Not the last year.
You would have been like in a weird like way watching Matt Hardy after you just watched Matt Hardy in 2020, you know, fighting on a football stadium field thing. I don't know what they called. whatever that match was called. What was
Stadium Stampede? Or something? Yeah, I haven't watched that. I haven't watched that yet.
I'll put it out now because I won't talk about it on Wrestling Reverb. I just am just realizing that I really don't like AEW.
Oh.
I just don't like it. I watched that show and I was just like, is this over? I like two things off of that whole show. People aren't going to be very happy that I said that. I didn't love the Stadium Stampede match. Everyone was like, this is so much better than everything. I'm like, I enjoyed all of the other cinematic matches more than this. Except for the Matt Hardy bit. That's the only bit that I appreciated. Other than that, I was like, they're just doing moves. There's nothing to this. To me, there was no flow. But
I need to watch it because I kind of want my take on it.
It's still not a bad... I don't think it was a bad show. It just wasn't... Everyone was like, fucking, yeah, let me jerk this show off. I was like, women's title match...
But if it's not for you, it's not a bad thing.
No. The ladder match was good. The women's title match was good. Yeah. That's all I really, really liked about it.
Just upset so many people.
Yeah, I know. I just don't think I'm going to watch
They're going to come out. They're going to come at you at Twitter. No one's going to listen to the show anymore.
I know.
You're upset like every AEW mark out there.
I just don't think I'm putting it out here now. The next AEW pay-per-view, I'm probably going to give it a miss. I'm just not into it. I've tried and tried and tried, but I'm not going to force myself to watch something that I just am watching because everyone else is. It's like what people do with WWE. I'm just not into it. But anyway, back to Raw.
Creepy Heyman.
Yes.
Kind of. He wants to be creepy Heyman, but it doesn't happen.
It's creepy.
We didn't see his chest hair either, which was unfortunate. So obviously Trish is still suffering from brass knucks. So she is in the trainer's room. A guy comes out of the trainer's room and like Paul Heyman's just, oh yeah, like how's Trish? Is she okay? And he's just like, yeah, she'll be fine, but she's still a bit still a bit in pain and blah blah blah. And like Paul Heyman's just like, is she unconscious? It's like, okay, where are you going with that? And then the trainer goes away. So Paul Heyman with a big fucking Cheshire cat smile on his face thinks he's gonna sneak in, and Trish is gonna be there in a vulnerable situation, but he's met by Bubba. Bubba's in there.
Oh yeah, her boyfriend apparently.
It seems that way, even though she was with Spike, so really Spike should be in there.
Trish and Bubba for some fucking reason are tied together every single damn week, and I don't understand why. I don't know why.
Yeah, there's still a link. Yeah. Obviously, Bubba's got his thing with Brock, but why is that tied into Trish? But there you go. So Paul Heyman goes in and he's immediately just trying to like backtrack and get himself out of it. But Bubba then like grabs Paul Heyman and just starts doing the fucking waltz with him. Like it's as if he can't decide.
Yeah. No, Bubba always dances.
Yeah. Oh no, it wasn't an actual dance, but it might as well have been. Like he grabbed Paul Heyman and he was literally just like I wouldn't say throwing because it was so tame, like trying to find like a wall or a door to push Heyman up against, but he just couldn't figure out what the best option was. So he was just lightly grazing doors and walls until he settled on like the fire escape or something and fucking like threw him against it. I was like, that was really weird. Like I understand Paul Heyman is like not a competitor, but like that was weird. And he's basically like, yeah, so he says like keep away from Trish. And he said that if there is a next big thing, he's got it right here for Brock. And I was just like, are you talking about your penis? Like, what are you talking about right now? Because you are not the next big thing. I fucking assure you that. So he picks Paul up again and throws him. But again, it's so light. And it's just kind of as if like he's fallen over his fucking shoelace or something. It's like, it's not a good look. Like, just fucking throw him. Like, I'm sure Paul Heyman wouldn't care if you fucking launched him. Like, but it was a light little throw. I understand they're probably friends outside the ring, so he didn't want to hurt him, but that's not the point. Time for your Raw rebound. Tommy Dreamer is in the ring.
I've seen this on SmackDown.
As soon as I saw it, I was very excited.
I
was very excited.
You've heard everything you've told me so far.
Yes.
Everything with Tommy Dreamer.
So he said he's in the ring to clear any misconceptions about him. He's just a normal guy, just an average guy. But whilst he's reeling off this little promo, he gets distracted by a fan in the crowd who is chowing down on a hot dog. A very saucy hot dog at that. This thing is caked in like mustard and ketchup, like it's drenched in the stuff. And he And as you do as an in-ring performer, like you went out to ringside and was just like, oh, like, can I have a bite of your hot dog? And dude was like, no, you can basically fuck off. I've paid probably about $10 for this thing. Like, go away. So Dreamer tries to grab it, but then the hot dog spills on the floor and like just splats. So Dreamer goes to pick it up and he offers it back to him. Just like, well, I guess this is yours. Here you go. And he's just like, well, it's been on the floor, mate. I'm not going to have that. So obviously Dreamer takes a bite out of this thing after rubbing it in a little bit on the floor as well. And then he randomly offers, I think there's like a fan. I'm pretty sure this isn't a plan. I think this was like completely just on the fly when this happened. There was a fan and he was literally like, oh, I want to bite. And Dreamer just literally handed over the hot dog to him and was just like, he's not gonna have a bite. And the fan fucking took a huge chunk out of this hot dog, which means fucking like, scraped along the floor. And like Dreamer's like you could see like Dreamer's face. It was like when a dog's owner comes home and the dog's like really happy. That's what I like that. That's what I could envision his face to be like. He was so happy and shocked that this fan actually did that. I was just like, that's a little cool moment. I like that. And Dreamer he was happy with that, left. And he got back in the ring to kind of finish his promo. And I thought, well, that's a bit weird if that's where it ends, because we've had him eating hair and drinking toilet water, and now he's just eating a hot dog off the floor. I think that's a bit tame. It's a bit tame. But he says, look, he said, I hope that proves that I'm just your normal average guy, because, of course, we all do that. But here comes Taker, carrying a cup of some description, and you don't know what's in this cup. I actually had to rewind it because I was like, because he puts the cup down on the stairs, I was like, when did he have a cup? But he came out with the cup. So he sets it down on the steps and then gets in the ring and he's like, look, I'm the undisputed champion. Dreamer, you're on my time. And he's like, just hit the bricks and get out of the ring. And Tommy's just like, look, dude, I'm just trying to say my bit. And then Taker's just like, look, even Hogan didn't take up my time. He says, like, even RVD last week didn't take up my time. So what makes a circus freak like you think you can stand in my yard? So he tells him to get the feck out of the ring, but then changes his mind. He's like, no, actually, why don't you come back in? He's like, while you're here, how do you fancy a shot at the title? And obviously Dreamer's just like, really? Like, obviously I'm up for it. And Taker's just like, actually, no, you're not worthy. And he's like, and he goes, nobody in that locker room is worthy for that matter. But because he's a nice guy, he'll let Tommy Dreamer entertain him and entertain all the fans. And then he tells him to drink his tobacco spit, which is in that cup. The mystery substance in that cup is Undertaker's tobacco spit. But during that entire segment, when The Undertaker came out, he had like a little, you know, like when you put your tongue in your cheek?
Yes.
And it looked like that. And I was like, has he taken like a knock to the face and on like a live event, or did he like get clocked in the face by RVD last week and he's just kind of bulged out on the side of the face? It was really like obvious. Like, this is weird. Like, I was like, has that always been there? I didn't really understand. But then he spat tar out of his mouth, and it turns out that's exactly what was in his cheek. And it was disgusting. It really was disgusting. But Tommy Dreamer drinks it and enjoys it. Blech. Blech. But then Taker attacks him and ends the whole thing with wrapping a chair around Dreamer's neck and then slamming into the ring post.
Nice.
End of segment.
Nice.
So that was nice. That was nice. Shockingly, we do go backstage after this.
I'm shocked.
Bit of a breather. Very brief. Brock and Paul Heyman are backstage. Brock's getting ready for his match with Bubba. And basically, Paul is saying that everything that Bubba did to him, Bubba was imagining that Paul Heyman was Brock in that situation. Brock's all fired up, and then Brock's like storms off. He's ready, and obviously Heyman's just like, yeah, I psyched him up. Boo, yeah. But we go back to the ring. It's Brock Lesnar versus Bubba Ray Dudley. It's actually a really fun little TV match, which was really surprising. I didn't think it was going to be anything like it. And Bubba is on top for at least 85% of this match. Like, he is all over Brock,
Bubba, right?
apart from like 2 suplexes, a couple of corner like shoulder thrusts, and a very, very long bear hug. Apart from that, it's all Bubba. So Heyman naturally gets involved after Bubba Ray hits a Bubba bomb, and he gets a free count from the fans. So I find it very hard to believe that Brock Lesnar would have been beaten by a Bubba bomb, but there you go. So Bubba goes to chase Paul Heyman, but then obviously Brock then cuts him off, and then F5, Brock wins. But he doesn't look good in his victory. So it was an odd one, that like he's trying to, make out Brock to be this all singing, all dancing badass who just doesn't lose and all that stuff. But Bubba was the better guy, which was strange. Then we go backstage. Speaking of strange, we go backstage with Coach, who Rick has pretty much given an assignment to stay backstage and wait for Austin should he show up. So Coach is there just waiting for any cars to show up or anything like that. Obviously nothing's happening. And Raven just so happens to be chilling backstage. So he's just like, oh, Raven, because you are the font of all knowledge, like, do you know anything about this family emergency that Deborah apparently has? And he's just like, well, it turns out like it's actually Austin who is the emergency. And I guess that kind of works. It's Deborah's family emergency. Austin is kind of her family, so yeah. And he's just like, I say that it's like that. That's literally it. He says it's actually Austin who is the emergency, and then he starts reeling off the most weird gibberish crap I've ever heard. Like, it's Bray Wyatt fucking turned up to 11. I have no idea what you were saying right now, and then I zoned out. So I actually don't know what Raven said. It was just fucking gibberish. And Coach's face pretty much confirmed that he made absolutely no points worth noting at all. So
fair.
I skipped by that. But we go back in the ring with your favorite guy, Bradshaw. Good old Bradshaw. Thankfully, this is short.
I'm just going to take a nap for this bit. Good night.
Oh, no. You're not going to get a proper nap. This is just going to be a power nap. It was over in a heartbeat. Big Show, obviously, versus Bradshaw. Turns out Big Show got the remix for his theme music. He started, where, or whatever he was back then. Well, it's the Big Show. Then NWO. So he had Kevin Nash had a little bit more time on GarageBand to get that sorted out. He had like another additional 25 minutes that he did have the booker, which is good. It was a short match. Like, literally nothing happened. All I noticed was that Big Show is a lot faster. Obviously, is a lot faster back then than he is now, which is a very obvious statement to make. Dit. So that is stupid.
He's also a lot fatter back then.
He is. He is carrying a bit of timber. Yeah. He has hair as well, which is still weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
Not as weird as seeing him with like a full-on long blonde hair when he debuted in WWE. That was a good time.
It's Paul White.
But Bradshaw hits a clothesline from hell on Big Show, which doesn't floor him. Like, he kind of falls back into the ropes.
Nice.
And that's it.
And then finish, kind of Bradshaw.
Off the ropes, into Bradshaw, chokeslam, wins, straight up the ramp. Doesn't do anything.
Cool.
Walks.
Done and dusted with that segment. See ya.
So backstage with X-Pac and Booker, they're celebrating going for 2 for 2 in the evening. Obviously, nobody's leaving the NWO tonight, as per Nash's little fucking stipulation he threw together. But Golddust walks in full NWO gear. He's got the NWO t-shirt. He's painted NWO colors on his face, and he's got like NWO on the back of his head. All this stuff. X-Pac isn't happy. He's just like, you're tainting the colors of the NWO, and he's just like, I'm gonna go and tell Kevin Nash, you little fucking snitch. So off he goes to tell Kevin Nash. And Booker's like, there's no harm done. He just looks like a freaky deaky Oreo cookie. Like, it doesn't matter. He's just like, I'm sick of you defending him. He says, I'm going to tell Nash. And off he goes. And that was the end of that segment. There's a lot of these short backstage segments.
That's raw.
And randomly we go to The World, formerly known as WWF New York. And we have a Tough Enough 2 segment.
Oh, yes. They're all about Tough Enough. It's the finals this week.
It is, yes. Yeah. And Yeah, they couldn't have said that enough. They had an arm wrestling contest. Like they said, there was like, this is the last physical test that they have before the final next week. I have no idea who the guys were. I don't even recognize them. I can't even describe them to you. I can't even remember what they look like. The women, on the other hand, they were Linda and Jackie. And again, I don't know if that is the names they used when they came into WWF, but I do recognize them, so I'm pretty sure.
Wasn't Linda was the tall? Jackie obviously was Miss Jackie Gator. I don't know how to say her last name. She was on Raw. She was with Rico, if you remember.
Is that when Rico was like?
And
like
they did
star,
like yeah, and they like
kissed
kissed in their entrance. They like did like a little like, and what was her name in? Was it like something really like stereotypical for a black lady? It was like Shaniqua. And she had the Bashams with the collars, and she had the big whip.
Oh.
Shaniqua, was it? I feel like, I know that sounds horrible, but I feel like that was her name. And she had the big whip, and she was going to be really good, but apparently her attitude was dog shit. And apparently, because she was really athletic in that, she used to beat up Tori Wilson all the time on SmackDown. Like a couple years later, maybe a year later. Do you remember that?
That's starting to ring a bell.
I think it was the Bashams. I want to say it was the Bashams that
It
she
wouldn't
was
surprise
with.
me if it was the Bashams.
Yeah, she had like a whip, and they had dog collars on it, and she was basically in charge of them. But she used to do like brilliant drop kicks, and like she was very athletic. And yeah, apparently her attitude was absolutely awful, and that's why she didn't make it. But apparently they were like, she's going to be huge.
Ah, yeah. So yeah, I do recognize her.
Yeah, and then
definitely do recognize. And Jackie.
Obviously, Jackie won Tough Enough, didn't she? She won.
I have no idea.
I think there was a girl and a boy that won that year, wasn't it? And it was
that
Jackie,
makes sense. Yeah,
Jackie and whoever won Tough Enough 2 for the dudes. I couldn't tell you who won Tough Enough 2. Obviously, Tough Enough 1 was Mavin. And
I'm sure we'll find out.
Mavin and Nydia won the first one, didn't they? Did Nydia win the first one, or was she the third? I don't know. Was Nydia there by that time? I really don't know.
I know something to do with Nydia, but I'm not going to go into it because obviously that's all.
Obviously that. But yeah, Mavin obviously won the first one. I couldn't tell you what dude won the second one.
No, not a clue. I didn't recognize any of those two guys.
But yeah, Jackie and Shaniqua.
But yeah, I definitely recognize them too. So that was a nothing segment. Alsto was just pretty much just hyping up the final on MTV or wherever it's aired, like whatever.
TV.
I did notice there was a lot of sailors in the crowd. In the world, I just noticed that because I'm in the Navy, so I was just like, oh, there's a lot of sailors in the crowd.
Was it you? Were you in the crowd and you're just not telling us?
I would have loved to have been in that crowd. Tough Enough 2 segment, yes please. Inject that into my veins, thank you. We go backstage, shocker, with RVD, who congratulates Terry on winning the hardcore title earlier in the night, and he's just basically talking about the ladder match. Saying it's worth the pain for the IC title, and he said, look, nobody can touch me when it comes to ladder matches because nobody gets high like RVD.
I get it. It's a reference.
We remain backstage. Back to the coach, and we spot a car barreling down towards the car park, and we're just like, well, who's this guy then? It's Howard Finkel. And he's just like, look, I'm really sorry that I'm late. I missed my flight. I had to go to Calgary and get this rental car, but thankfully this nice guy called Joe fucking helped me out and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, right, okay, probably didn't need all that, but yeah, cheers. Right, so Howard Finkel has arrived, but he's very, very late. Still no Austin. But we go into the ring, and we have Crash Holly versus Golddust. Still wearing his NWO stuff. And he picks up a win pretty damn quick. Like it's a nothing match. But here comes Kevin Nash. So X-Pac has snitched on Golddust, and Kevin Nash is marching down to the ring. He gets in the ring, but Golddust slides out of the ring. So he's like, I'm not having any of that. So Kevin Nash beats up Crash, and that is it.
Cool.
There's nothing to suggest that Nash is either pissed off with Golddust. There's nothing to suggest that Nash is happy with Golddust. It's just a nothing thing. He just beats up Crash. Fun. Backstage again, on Raw. It's Rick and Eddie in Rick's office, and it's been very Rick-light.
Yeah,
which has been really. I haven't had much Rick. Had a lot of NWO, and haven't had much Bradshaw. He had like a 3-minute thing, so I'm not getting all the bad folks in your thing apart from NWO. But Eddie's there. He's concerned that Austin's going to show up, but Flair's just like, "Look, mate, listen. I've got a welcoming committee. I've got contingency plans. Do not worry about it. Go out and have your match." It's Eddie Guerrero versus RVD in a ladder match for that IC title, one of the best matches in Raw history, and I got to watch it.
Great match.
And I haven't watched that. I haven't actually watched this match before. Obviously, I know about it, and I've seen like highlights countless amount of times, but I've never actually watched it. So I was actually really excited to sit down and just get into it. Really enjoyable opening, very fast paced. Nothing was slow. Like there was a good couple of spots like throughout the whole thing. RVD hits a really good moonsault, like kind of flips over onto the ring apron and then moonsaults onto Eddie holding a ladder. And at that point, Benoit is making his way down to ringside. But before security can cut him off, he shows a ticket. He has bought, well, I don't know how he's bought a ticket. Apparently the place was sold out, but he has a ticket and he takes a seat. So he's there in the crowd for the rest of the match. So we eventually get back into the ring stuff. I mean, I'm just going through spots at this point because there are a lot of very good like spots. So I could literally fucking take up an hour going through this thing. But RVD like hits a drop kick to the ladder when Eddie's on it, so Eddie falls off. Good spot. And then I actually never knew that this happened. And at first I thought, is that a plant? But then I paused the match and literally went on Google and was like fan interruptions and stuff like that, and it turns out it was legit. Eddie was climbing up the ladder, and a fan barrels into the ring. The referee straight on him. Eddie gets a punch in before he gets out. I was like, fucking hell! Like, how does that even? That could have been a lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
A lot worse. But I was like, shit. And I think that kind of. It didn't ruin the match in any way, shape, or form, but I feel like it ruined the flow a little bit, as it would, because you don't plan for fucking idiots running in the ring, let alone when you're halfway up a ladder and they fucking push the damn thing. But there you go. There was loads of more cool spots, as you know, finally leading up to what would have been the big finish, I think. Either that or RVD sold the whole thing really well. He sets up the ladder in the corner, climbs up there. This thing is fucking rocking side to side. This ladder has taken some battering.
Yeah.
Like I'm surprised they didn't get another ladder in there, but this thing is ruined. So he's up there getting ready to 5-star frog splash, but that thing just buckles underneath him and he crashes down to the mat. So I don't know if the finish was he does the 5-star frog splash and then sets up the ladder again and then climbs up and wins the title. That didn't happen. He fell off. Throws Eddie out of the ring, sets up the ladder. Eddie comes back in, he grounds Eddie, and then just kind of climbs up and grabs the title for the win. It was like a very, very anticlimactic end to what was a really, really good match. So I think that ladder thing was a botch. Yeah, which is a shame because that would have been really, really cool. And that wasn't just like a little height. That was like top of the cage kind of height. So that's a shame. It is a shame, but it didn't ruin it. It didn't ruin the match in any way, shape, or form. It was still really good. So we have a new IC champion, and as RVD is celebrating on the top rope, Eddie hits him with a ladder, and then the glass shatters. Here comes Austin. So Austin comes down to the ring. He's there giving Eddie lefts and rights, but the welcoming committee turns out to be Ric Flair himself and Arn Anderson.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
I was expecting like the NWO and just like any other heel they can throw together. But no, it's Ric Flair and fucking Arn Anderson and Coach, apparently, who didn't get the memo and he's still backstage. But they get floored straight away. Like it's a nothing like attempt to stop this thing. Like Austin fucking grounds them. That's it. And Benoit at this point is in the ring, standing tall with Austin. Just like, well, that was a nice little end to Raw. Happy with that. But it isn't the end of Raw because then Benoit clocks Austin from behind and then starts laying into him like massively. I didn't even realize they had any kind of feud whatsoever, but it seems to be a setup, as JR points out on commentary. So he's there smacking the crap out of Austin, sets up Austin to get hit by the frog splash from Eddie. Eddie and Benoit kind of share like a little celebration together while Ric Flair is walking up the ramp, cackling like an evil bastard, and then Raw goes off the air.
Damn.
Now, I said I would leave. Every week that we do Dits versus Josh, like we always talk before we hit the record button, like how did you find SmackDown? How did you find Raw? I said, Josh, I wouldn't tell you how I felt about Raw until now. That is the best thing I have seen since we have done Dits versus Josh. I fucking loved that episode. It was so good. Beats, and it's not even close. It's not. I say to you every week, more or less, I say to you, when I'm watching SmackDown, I actually cannot wait for that thing to end. Like, SmackDown is good, but it gets to that point where you're just like, oh, come on. Like, this.
You're probably just not used to Raw. You're seeing different people and stuff like that. It's probably a mix of that.
Yeah. Because, SmackDown, I was like, oh, there's 35 minutes left. Come on, like, hurry this up. I didn't feel like that at all. But it might have been a combination of what you just said then, and maybe the fact that I did have to wait to the end to get to RVD and Eddie in that ladder match. So it might have been that as well. But either way, the best thing I've seen doing this show so far.
Fair.
How you don't win every single week is beyond me.
I don't get it either.
Tremendous stuff.
I guess we'll get into SmackDown. I'll try and keep things short and sweet because we are at an hour of recording. But
really?
It's fine. Yeah.
Right, I must have been really excited about Raw.
I was like looking at the time. I'm like, all right, dude, come on, gotta fucking move on. You gotta let me talk about SmackDown before the day's over. We're in Calgary for SmackDown. So you're in Edmonton. I get Calgary, which is like wrestling. Just brilliance comes from Calgary. It's like heart, family, there's like everything. They put up a graphic because you may have got the ladder match between RVD and Eddie as your main event. I get Edge and Angle in a cage.
Oh, I missed that. Damn. Okay. I knew that was coming up because I remember back. I was like, that better not be this weekend. Fuck it is.
They hype it up. That's the main event for SmackDown is Edge and Angle in a cage. And I'm like, all right.
If I remember rightly, it's really good as well. If I remember rightly.
And bitch, it starts off heavy. I'm like, what is going to be the first thing I see? I get a tag team championship match. Rikishi and Rico defending against Billy and Chuck.
Well, yes.
Now, Rikishi.
At least it makes sense for a change.
Well, yeah. So it's really weird. So Rikishi comes out. He's like dancing, got the tag title. Then Rico comes out, and he's like got the other tag title, obviously. But then in the same entrance, also Billy and Chuck come out when Rico gets to the bottom of the ramp, and they're all dancing. It's it's crazy. Rico obviously is trying to help Billy and Chuck win. Rikishi ends up hitting Rico, and then he hits like Chuck, then hits Billy. And basically the finish, the match is nothing. The match is just them teaming up on Rikishi, as you would kind of expect. But the finish is Rikishi hits Rico with a super kick, who falls on top of Chuck to get the 3 count. So they're still tag team champions. And then...
Oh, yay.
Billy and Chuck get really mad at Rico after it too. They're pissed. And then the end of it is Rikishi on the end of the stage dancing in a top hat.
Again. Yeah. I think that's 3 weeks in a row he's done that now. Did he get pyro?
Yes, he did get pyro. Yeah, I have that in my notes.
Pyro. Yes.
He got pyro. The match was nothing. The match went for about 2 minutes. But it was fine. But yeah, they got really pissed at Rico. So, seeds planted. Who knows? We go backstage, and Mavin is getting ready for his match against Christian later tonight. And then Tori Wilson comes in. I'm like, what the? All right. And she says, good luck tonight. I hope you do really well. And he's like, oh, thank you, Tori. It means a lot. And she gives him a big smooch.
Oh.
Big old smooch right in the lips. It's like, come here, Mavin. But who's standing in a... Okay, so I'm going to try and explain this in the I'm going to try and make the most sense out of it. So you've got like they're backstage, and behind them is a door, right? And there's a little window in the door, and Tajiri's there, like, you know, yelling and like, what the fuck? That's Tori, fuck. But then instead of going through the door, he walks like 2 steps, and there's an opening to come out, and I'm like, why is there a door there when there's an opening like right next to it? It was the weirdest thing, and I don't know if anyone can picture it the way that I'm putting it, but I just didn't understand. I'm like, that's all I could take away from that segment was that Tajiri.
I'm picturing like it's some kind of play set, like
it's like
on
a
a
red
stage.
door, like this big fuck off red door, and he's like got his head in the little glass bit, and then he just walks, like he just takes a step, and he's out in the opening, and I'm like, what's the point of having that door there? And it was clearly a door. There was a handle and everything. Why not just at least walk through the door to create the illusion? Like, fuck. But, I don't know, he's pissed because Tori kissed Mavin. And obviously, Tori and Tajiri were together not that long ago.
I'm not too annoyed at that continuing. I do enjoy me some Tajiri, as you know.
Yeah, you're into it. But we go to the ring. We get Christian versus Mavin. Maven does this. This is the only thing that I remember, and the only thing I have noted other than the finish of this match is that Maven goes to do like the crossbody over the top rope to the outside deal. What's it called? I don't know exactly what that called. But anyway, he goes to do it, and he over rotates, and it's just knees to Christian's face, just like right in his face, and I'm like, ouch. And Christian didn't look happy because he kind of got a little bit pissed at it looks like, but. The finish is Tajiri runs down and he kicks Mavin in the head while the referee's distracted by Christian, and Christian capitalizes and pins Mavin. So Christian wins.
Win-win.
All right, this is the segment I'm going to take the most time on. We're backstage with Vince McMahon, and he is talking on the phone. First and foremost, he's on the phone to executives or the board of directors about Chris Benoit appearing on Raw because, of course, Benoit is on SmackDown, but they explained to him that Benoit, because he's inactive at the moment, he's injured, he's allowed to appear on Raw or SmackDown. He's allowed to appear anywhere. That's how it works when you're inactive. So, when he becomes active again, he must be re-signed to a brand. That's the explanation they give us. But he puts down the phone. There's a knock at his door. He goes, come in. And it ain't Stacy. It's the debuting Dawn Marie.
No way.
Dawn Marie.
Already?
Dawn Marie is here. She's an attorney for Stacy Keibler. She's Stacy Keibler's attorney assistant. That's what she was described as. She said, Stacy's not here this week. And she said, Mr. McMahon, I'm sorry, Stacy tells me to never bother you directly with paperwork, but Stacy is at the World because she's hosting for the Tough Enough finale that is happening directly after SmackDown Live on MTV. Mr. McMahon had to say that out loud, by the way. He had to say live on MTV. So she said, I'm very sorry. He goes, it's okay. So she unbuttons her shirt a little, kind of gets a little bit more comfortable, I guess, and Vince is like he's looking, and she said, well, we need to review these documents. And he goes, well, let's get a little more comfortable. Why don't you take a seat? And she sits right close to him, and he's just like, he touches her thigh, and it's like, oh man, here we go. It's happening. Basically, Vince is drooling. Like at this point, Vince is drooling, and he's like, oh, do we need to go through any documentation? And she's like, well, I don't know, Vince, maybe we do. And then, just as they get a little closer, who barges in? Who's the one
Chris
man?
Jericho.
Who's
Gotta be
the
Chris
one
Jericho.
man? It's Chris Jericho. And he says, Mr. McMahon, I'm sorry to interrupt. He goes, but I'm having a match tonight against Farouk, and I'm still hurt from the ass-kicking I gave Triple H at Judgment Day inside Hell in a Cell. And he shows his stitches on his shoulder, and he's like, he goes, how dare you put me in this match tonight, Mr. McMahon? I can't do this. Look, his stitches are like nothing. They're like little tiny stitches. But Vince says, it's fine. This is your chance to kind of get back in the groove of things and show how dominant Chris Jericho can be. And he's like, yeah, you're right. That's right. Jericho leaves, and Vince gives his big googly eyes and sits back down with Dawn Marie. So I got creepy Vince.
You got creepy Vince.
But not over Stacy. I got the debut of Dawn Marie. So
we're gonna have
Dawn
Stacy
Marie
and
leads
Dawn next week.
You're going to know where Dawn Marie leads to in just a few freaking months with that infamous storyline. You get that, and I'm
saucy.
so jealous. I'm so jealous about it. That is just one of the greatest things ever. But we go to the ring. It's Farouk and Jericho. They actually have like a decent match, and Farouk nearly wins like multiple times. I'm like, whoa. But the finish is basically Jericho rams Farouk's head into an exposed turnbuckle, and Jericho wins with like a sleeper driver, like behind, and he grabs around the neck and just falls down. It's real lame. But Jericho won by pinfall, which Jericho never does. You'd think Jericho would at least do a lion slant for the win, but he didn't. It was like a sleeper slam. It was odd. But Jericho's over his batshit because they're in Canada.
Ah, yes.
Even though, like, I know SmackDown's crowd reactions are somewhat edited. I understand that. But even Michael Cole said a lot of people are cheering for Jericho because we're in Canada. So he even pointed it out. It's really weird hearing Michael Cole and Taz on commentary as opposed to JR and Jerry Lawler because they're very different teams.
Yeah.
Like,
I found listening to JR and King this week. I've always favored Michael Cole and Taz as a team. I mean, I know JR and King are the iconic WWE announced team, but I've always preferred Michael Cole and Taz. I don't know why. I honestly don't know why. I think it literally is just because of nostalgia, and that's just what I grew up with.
Yeah,
but
that's fair. Yeah, it's just very different.
Yeah, it's a lot different. Yeah,
it's very different. This show is just so different the way it's structured. I can't stress that enough. Mainly because I'm not getting 14 backstage segments in a row and then a match. I'm actually getting a bit of... But anyway, we go backstage and praise the Lord. Who's there? Devon. We get Devon. And Lance Storm walks in. And he said,
"Oh, yes.
Father, I need to confess my sins." So he said, "Come into my office," which is the showers for some weird reason. I don't know why. But he said, "I've committed a sin." And Devon's like, please, you need to tell me. And he goes, it's worse than being American. And he goes, what? He goes, "I've committed the biggest sin there is." And he goes, "Oh no, my brother, what is it?" And he goes, "I'm Western Canadian." I'm like, oh my God. And the crowd boos, by the way. There's a lot of boos. Like, as you can imagine, Calgary wouldn't be thrilled with that. And he said, "It's okay, my brother. Your sins are forgiven." And Lance Storm is like, thank you. And he says, "Wait, before you leave," Batista's there with the donation box. He says, "Can you please spare your dollars for to put into the Devon Building Fund, the trust fund?" And he gives him like a little nothing, a little something. And Devon says, "Wow, he's cheap." And that's the end of the segment. I don't know fucking why it happened. It was just a fuck you Canada.
Yeah, there's
segment.
a lot of that. There's a lot of that on SmackDown. You kind of question why. Like the E guy. Why is this stuff happening? Like SmackDown is full of that shit.
Okay, so this is a very pivotal backstage segment, and it's gonna make you really angry because that means you know who's feuding with who going forward, and I don't think you're gonna be that thrilled. So we got a backstage interview. I didn't even catch who it was, to be completely honest. It did look somewhat familiar. And, of course, he's interviewing Hulk Hogan.
Oh, yes, our favorite.
Hogan says that Vince McMahon can take the contract and stick it. In those words, he said, stick it. Whatever he offered him last week or something like that. Didn't Vince offer him something from memory?
Oh, no, he basically, he tried to retire, and Vince was just like, "It ain't fucking happening on my watch. Like, Hulkamania is here until you die."
Yeah, and he just basically told Vince McMahon to get fucked, basically.
By showing up to the very show that he apparently retired from. That way to stick it to the man.
He said he's rearranged his priorities, and he says he doesn't just want any match. He wants a match with Vince McMahon. Ooh. And he said he wants it next week. But Vince answers, yes. Vince is like, "You fucking bitch. You want to fucking go, let's go." Like he's took off his jacket. But then from behind, someone attacks Hogan. It's Kurt Angle.
Oh, yeah.
So, and that's not the last thing you see about Kurt Angle and Hulk Hogan on this show.
They've had like a bit of something going on for like weeks, like kind of like behind other storylines going on. So I kind of remember them being a thing, but I don't know. Maybe I raised that from my mind, but hey.
I couldn't imagine it would be something because I could just imagine how it would go.
Well,
Alright,
we're going from Edge and Angle to Edge and Angle and Hogan, which is kind of like meh. But there you go.
Undisputed title match time.
Oh.
Undertaker defending against that young blue chipper himself, Randy Orton.
Oh, okay.
So Taker comes out before this match and claims that he's the greatest champion of all time because he's been champion for 14 days, not even. He basically said he's going to prove that WWE is the land of opportunity. And he said he's got some, and he said, I'm going to challenge a third generation stud that is the future of this business, which, I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. So Orton comes out, and Orton gets a lot in on Taker. This is like you can tell this is like prove yourself kind of match. You know, if you can hang, let's see if you can go. He nearly wins at one point. He gets a long 2 count on Taker, like a long 2 count. Kicks out of a lot of stuff too. And basically it ends with like a super duper choke slam. Like I'm talking Randy went up into space and it was like, see ya. And Taker drilled it and he ended up winning, of course. And similar to what happened on Raw with Tommy Dreamer and the chair and the neck deal, he goes to do that on Orton, but who saves him? Triple H. Triple H comes out and he suddenly appears and attacks Taker and they brawl for a little while. Triple H gets the upper hand. He says, if you want to give an opportunity to anyone, why don't you give an opportunity to me? Because, you know, Triple H is just lacking in the opportunity department.
There's a lack of continuity here from last week. Triple H got attacked by Test.
Oh, no, don't worry. It's not the last time to see Triple H.
Oh, yay.
It's all right.
I'll stomp on the brakes.
But yeah, so he challenges Taker, and that's the end of that segment. No answer from Taker. But we go to a Cruiserweight division tag team match. We've got the Hurricane and Billy Kidman taking on Chavo and Tajiri.
Nice.
So they do the little thing of like last Thursday on SmackDown, they had the horror note thing and all of the stuff with Hurricane, and they were recapping all of that. So you got that. This match is okay. There's a lot of good wrestling in it. Nothing of like noteworthy, but it was. I enjoyed it. I was like, this is a good little match. It didn't go for it doesn't go for an insane amount of time. But something I did note from it is that Billy Kidman does a shooting star press from the middle rope.
Ooh.
And it's like, it's nutty. It's fucking nutty. Then Hurricane's music actually hits and a message is shown on the big screen and says, next week, the mystery is over. The reveal is happening. So you got something to look forward to next week. And they show a photograph of Hurricane with like a mystery person. It's like outlined, you know what I mean? Like you can't see who it is, but Hurricane's with them. And basically what you can see is there's a female hugging Hurricane, but the rest is like you can't really see too much. So mystery, something to look forward to next week. He's basically trying to figure everything out. Tajiri sneaks up behind him, kicks him in the head, and Tajiri pins Hurricane. But yes, next week it's happening. They're going to reveal themselves. This mystery will be over. So
I know exactly who that is as well. What a fun time we're all about to have.
All right, so Triple H versus Test.
There we go.
Right,
continuity. So, good stuff.
They're brawling for a little while. Lance Storm ends up coming out, distracts Triple H. There's a lot of like the referees turned and Lance Storm attacking Triple H on the outside. You know, standard stuff. Nothing too crazy. Triple H does a lot of his normal spots on Test, spine buster, the knee deal thing with the face and all of that kind of stuff. There's lots of pedigree attempts, I noticed. At one point, Lance Storm ends up getting in the ring and he's like doing the whole, I'm going to hold him and you go to hit him with the big boot and he definitely won't get out of the way kind of deal. And then Test ends up nailing Lance Storm by accident with a big boot. He hits a pedigree on Test and you'd think this would be over, but out comes Undertaker. Undertaker comes up, runs up onto the apron, points at Triple H. Triple H, get fucked, you bitch. And he's like, fuck you. And Triple H, Undertaker gets down. And then boom, big boot, Test goes over.
Oh.
Test won.
He's necking off with Stacey last week, and now he's picking up wins against Triple H this week.
And then Taker goes to town on Triple H. Comes in, steel chair, choke slams, all that good stuff. And an army of referees come down to break it up. Pretty much. Okay, so we go backstage, and it's Edge and Val Venus. For some reason, Val is there. And I don't know why, but the way the shot is, it looks like Val's wearing, like, nothing on his lower half. It just looks like he's naked.
Probably isn't.
He's not wearing a shirt, obviously, but, like, it just looks like he's straight up naked, because the way the camera is cut is just weird. But he says, tonight, I want you to take Kurt Angle's wig off to Edge. And Edge is like, all right. And Edge is like, well, he's going to be locked in the cage with me, and it's going to be the end for Kurt Angle.
Ooh.
There's nothing to that segment. We go to another interview, and Kurt Angle's there this time, and he's reacting to what Edge just said, and he says, they go to show a clip of how he got shaved, bald, at Judgment Day, and he said, cut that clip, don't you ever show that clip. And then he's going to humiliate Edge in front of his home country tonight. We go ringside, and the Hart family is shown. It's like Stu and Jim Neidhart and his wife Ellie and Bruce are all there. Because Calgary. I guess.
Nice. Main
event time, though. Steel cage. I'll spend a little bit of time on this because it's a very good match. Edge and Angle, obviously, inside the steel cage. There is so much blood from Edge. Holy shit. Edge is like gushing blood within the first 2 minutes of this match. Lots of cage spots. I'm sure people have watched this match a lot because it's a really great steel cage match. You've probably watched it too, Dits. It's a good steel cage. Like, it's physical, and it's like a good blow-off for this feud. It's been going on for quite a while now.
Got 2-3 months,
Yeah, it's like taken up pretty much every episode of SmackDown in some capacity.
And none of it's been bad. None of it's been bad.
This is one of the feuds that I'm like jealous of that you get to watch constantly is this, because you get matches like this, because all of their matches have been great. I don't know if the cage match is my favorite of their kind of 3 or 4 that they've had, but it's very good.
It kind of mirrors what Eddie and RVD are for you. I'm jealous that you have that.
Yeah.
So it's quite timely that we have that ladder match and then this cage match in the same week when we swap.
Yeah, because I'm bummed that I missed the ladder match, but I get the cage match. I'm not completely. But there's lots of near falls, lots of like finishes being kicked out of, and all of that kind of stuff. Lots of brutal spots with like really inventive stuff that Angle does to Edge with like the ankle and the cage. Excuse me. There's lots of that kind of stuff. We'll get to the finish. Hogan basically comes down to cheer Edge on. He's like, yo, I'm here. You know, fuck you, Kurt Angle, for hitting me before. And so at one point, the referee gets knocked down somehow. I can't exactly remember the spot, but and Angle ends up climbing over because the referee's down, he doesn't see it, and Hogan ends up putting Angle back in the cage because, you know, he's a face, and that's what faces do, apparently. And then they battle that out for a little bit longer. They get to a spot where Angle's climbing the cage, gets over, and the door's open, and Edge hits him, balls to the door of the cage. You know that spot they do in cage matches. Gets him back in the ring. Edge ends up winning with a brutal, I'll say brutal, top rope spear. He like jumps. Yeah, it looks gnarly. And
if I remember rightly, he really hurt himself when he did that. If I remember rightly,
probably it didn't look. It looked nasty, but it looked like it would hurt because of the way that he positioned. It just looks.
Yeah.
It looks. Yeah. And Edge ends up winning. Hogan enters the cage, and you know beats down Angle for a little while, and then he tries to take off Angle's wig, but Angle gets away. And then Hogan celebrates with a bloody Edge. And that's the end of SmackDown.
Okay. What do you think?
I enjoyed it. That last match put it over the edge for me. And, like,
Yeah.
seeing Creepy Vince in its entirety is something, like, it's weird, but it's something special that you can't...
Oh, it is.
You have to experience, even if you're very uncomfortable. Because it was like, get this image in everyone's brain. You've got Vince in a suit looking at Dawn Marie with most of her buttons out, and you can basically just see full boobs. Like, it's just, they're just there. You know what I mean? Like, obviously. And he's staring at them, and he's touching her inner thigh, and she's sitting very close to him. And it's like, is this what you get every week with Stacy? Because that was creepy. It was
Yeah, more or
odd.
less, yeah. Except belly buttons get involved with Stacy. I don't think he's at that point with Dawn Marie yet.
Well, they're not there yet. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You might get
Well, they got to
Dawn
build a
Marie.
foundation, of course.
Yeah, you know, they got to build a little bit of trust with one another. Imagine being, you know, running $1 billion company and being like, you know what I want for creative today? I want to stare at Dawn Marie's breasts. And who's going to say no?
No,
Nobody.
exactly.
He's in charge. I want to touch Stacey Keebler's belly button. All right? And they have to do it because I'm paying them.
Ugh. Ugh.
Creepy as fuck. But yeah, I thought it was
Yeah.
a good show. I enjoyed it. Obviously, the flow is very different. And it's weird. It goes to show that we do actually explain things well enough to kind of understand where storylines are at. Because I felt like I still, even without watching it and just listening to you tell me, I was like, I got the gist enough of what's happening to not be confused. I'm like, what is happening? Like, I understood stuff about Hurricane. Like, imagine if I just watched that episode with I'd be like, what is this? I don't remember this. Like, it's not something I remember. So, and like,
we're selling it well.
Yeah, and like the cage match was just fantastic, and if that match wasn't there, I don't know if I'd enjoyed the show as much as I did, but I really enjoyed that. It was lively. It was different. It looked different. SmackDown seems brighter than Raw. Is that
Yeah,
weird?
I was going to say it's a lot lighter, yeah.
Yeah, it's like lighter and Raw's a lot darker, which is weird. But it actually felt like a different show, and I think we've come away from that in the last however many years of wrestling, but you don't get that anymore. They just feel like the same show with a different name. So it does feel nice to have something different. We'll have to do this again in a few months.
I was going to say, please do this again, because...
Like, just in a few months. We don't want to do it too often because it will take away the kind of gist of it, but we need to do it again just so we be like, okay, where are we at? What is going on? But it's just like next week when we go back to normal, it's like, now I get feuds like Molly and Trish, which I'm just going to be all over, and you get Angle and Hogan.
Yay.
I'm happen.
Yeah.
Hogan's going to just dominate.
Although does he though?
I don't remember that.
No, I don't remember it, but
yeah.
Ooh, I remember some stuff. I don't think it's actually as bad as I think it's going to be.
I can't wait to get to more NWO next week. I'd definitely miss them.
They're a cohesive unit.
They're fucking annoying because they're just always there. It was nice to not have that worry, like, when's the NWO's music gonna hit, or when's Ric Flair's gonna hit? But I guess that's the beauty of Raw, is that I get to complain a lot.
Yeah,
I'm great at whining, so it's good for me.
Yeah.
I'll be glad to get back to Raw next week. I'm not gonna lie, it still felt weird.
I'm hoping that having a week off from SmackDown, I kind of get like revitalized with it a bit, because I know I'm in like the dull SmackDown before it like kicks in and gets
in a few months,
really good, and we're not that far away from it either.
Does Raw. We're getting close to when Raw really picks up. Like, I'm
Bischoff.
Yeah, I'm ready for all of it. So we just gotta get through these. We just gotta get through these. Yeah, but you get Dawn Marie and Tori Wilson. Okay,
fair one.
That is like covering that is like a dream, because it's just so bizarre. It's like, I genuinely enjoy that because it's just so crazy. I don't know, like, everyone that doesn't know what I'm talking about, everyone needs to know what that is. It's like probably up there with one of the most infamous wrestling storylines ever. I'm not even joking. It probably is.
Come back in September.
He dies. literally why they are boning. I'm so jealous that you get to count. As soon as you get up to that later in the year, I'm just going to be like, I'm not going to say a word. I'm just going to be like listening.
I'll go first. I will go
living.
first.
We might have to do like a special and just dedicate a whole episode just to that. I think
drag out like what is like a 7-minute segment for an hour and a half show.
I think you probably fucking could too.
Yeah.
To be honest, there's a lot to take in. So everyone, there's a little teaser for what you're getting later on Dits Fest, like way later. But I mean, it's not that much later. It's like the end of the year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Back end.
more
Yeah.
months. We'll get there. It's fine. That'll do us for this week. We were discussing, are we gonna have a vote? I guess we still will. You just vote blue for me this week. Vote blue for Josh this week and red for Dits, which is something different. And get me to win. I got a steel cage match on my show. Hello.
But I got the ladder match.
And I got Creepy Vince. You didn't even get Creepy Paul. He didn't even try this week. He knew I wasn't watching.
I got an attempt of what probably sounded like it was going to be rape.
Yeah, that sounds
kind
it
of
was like 13
sexual
reasons why.
assault.
I was like, oh my God. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Is she unconscious? That's not the first sentence that should come out of someone's mouth when you're asking about a woman. A human in general. Are they hurt? Are they unconscious? Because, yes, please. That is fucking weird, Paul. But I didn't get that. I just got old man with younger woman staring into chest.
Sexy.
You know where to find us on Twitter. We don't need to hype that up too much, but make sure, of course, like, share, subscribe on YouTube. Rate this podcast 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. All of that good stuff. Dits, anything else you want to add before we run away?
There probably is something, but I can't remember. I think I came in and just like, oh yeah, I'll plug that. Yeah, I can't remember. I have a new episode out on Dits. I can't even remember my own fucking show. Dits on Wrestling.
Sure.
Which dropped yesterday. So go and check that out. A 1-year retrospective of AEW with our good friend Foul Original. So there you go.
Foul. That means that
there.
episode goes for about 7.5 hours because Foul is great. And he just
it was an epic recording sesh.
I love Foul.
With not much recording.
Yeah, shout out to Foul. Foul's great.
Big shout out to Foul. Great.
But yeah,
guest.
when you talk with Foul, you gotta make sure you plan. Because all right, I gotta clear my schedule for Foul. Because I ain't hanging up the call with him because he's too nice. And he's just too much fun to talk to. So you're like, I'll just keep talking, it's fine. But anytime you record with Foul is always fun. So I look forward to listening to that. I will listen to that actually probably after I'm done with this.
Oh,
to be honest.
Thank you.
Because AEW is my favorite.
Yikes.
I'll leave it on that.
Way to win back the marks.
Oh yeah, get the marks and pop the marks, hey? I will you can catch, of course, the rest of my shows this week on the network. And have some cool stuff. Oh, I got a hype on Friday, my time. It might be Thursday night for you guys in the States, but Friday morning, my time, I'm doing a charity stream to raise money for the Animal Welfare League of Australia, helping to rehome animals, and it also helps with greyhound racing and all of that kind of stuff, because I like animals more than I love people. So, let's help them out, raise some money for some animals, and help the puppers and the kittens and all that kind of stuff, because who hates animals? It's just like, it's just you can't. I'll be playing some games over on Twitch, though, twitch.tv/JoshRobinson00. Come and hang out, all of that cool kind of stuff. I'll be playing all different kinds of games and chatting away for a few hours to raise some money. So do that on Friday. Until then, see you on the next one. Peace.